Let's do it.
The only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters. We're going to bring you the news and reviews of your favorite brews. My name is Dan Baker, joined as always by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and of course the demented and fermented
Wayne Baker.
This is an episode that I think is safe to say close to 8 years in the making, because somehow we've existed in the same circles. But we've never had, up until our panel for the Grain and Malt Symposium, we never had one of the heaviest hitters of Philly beer. The guy who's had his hand and his thumb on the pulse of Philly beer for a very long time. We finally nailed him down for his own episode, and he brought a friend with, and I can't wait to talk to him both. That means joining us, we have from various different projects, including Earth Red Brewery and Bar Hygge. Got to make sure I say it right, and I have to tell myself to do it, but also Brewery Techne. We have joining us
Tom Baker.
And Duffy.
Woo! Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I just gotta say, you guys, those two names work really well together. Tom
Yeah.
Baker and Duffy. You guys sound like a
Sounds-
performing troupe.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like a morning radio show. Wake up in the morning with Tom
Yeah.
Baker and Duffy.
Yeah, so Duffy is an alias, but we can't tell you what his real name
Oh,
is.
okay.
That's fine.
It's very secret. Witness protection. It's fine.
Okay.
Are you allowed to admit you're in witness protection if you're in witness protection?
I mean, just don't show my face.
Oh, man. Okay.
Oh,
It's gonna be rough for the game. Wayne, just put like a generic emoji over his face then, and maybe a voice modulator.
yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, sweet.
This sounds like a lot of unnecessary work.
It really does.
So I'd like to just congratulate you on pronouncing Hygge correctly.
I had to. You said it before we started recording and going into the actual show, and I wrote down my own weird pronunciation guide for it to make sure I get it right.
I may have Googled a YouTube translation or a YouTube pronunciation video to practice before tonight, but I'm glad I wasn't the one that had to say it first. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into what that is in a little bit. I guess first, some housekeeping. Remember, you're out there listening to this. You know where you can find us online. But a reminder, Twitter and Instagram at BeerBusters. Facebook, we are BeerBusters Podcast. Don't forget BeerBustersPodcast.com/shop. Get some of that sweet branded merch. Let all the cool kids know you listen to a great beer podcast. I'm just going to keep patting myself on the back a little bit. YouTube.com/BeerBusters Podcast. Very important that you add podcast into that one. And then patreon.com/beerbusters, where you can find your way into Last Call, which is always a lot of fun. But you also get the special behind-the-scenes feed. You get some other special goodies we throw your way. Get your name right on the podcast and listed on the YouTube videos if you're at a certain level. You get sound clips associated with your name. Apologies if I haven't played your favorite one to all the patrons who get that. But anyway, patreon.com/beerbusters, as little as $1 a month.
I just got to officially go on the record and say that the ability for patrons to choose what sound clip accompanies their name has been vetoed because there's no way that's going to logistically work. That is not a patron perk, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's tough to do because it's all just kind of random. I just kind of hit buttons on the soundboard and whatever happens.
Which makes it better anyway.
Yeah. Okay, now that the housekeeping's out of the way.
Back to the lecture at hand.
So I had a rough day, and we cracked open a beer already, and I started drinking it, and it is damn good. We started with, from Brewery Techne, the Philly Common Ale, which I quite enjoy. This is delicious. So what? I guess Duffy, since you make the beer, what's the scoop with this beer? That's a loaded question and vague. I apologize.
Can I say it's a California Common style?
Well, here that's the thing, because I know it was listed.
No, is it a steam beer? I don't know. What is it? It's a hybrid ale. I don't know. We wanted to make something that was we want to keep our lager yeast alive, really, is the short story. But we brewed this because we wanted to make something easy drinking and something that was good. And the hops that we used in it and the malt backbone really made it a little bit more. I don't know, it gave it a different character than we were expecting, I guess. And Tom has a much more sensitive palate. So I'd imagine, I really just pull the levers.
That is not true.
Tom's a mastermind. So, Tom, what do you think?
In the history of our podcast, we've met very few brewers who are not modest. Most brewers, even if they're amazing at what they do, are fairly humble. So to hear you say all you do is pull the levers, in my mind, it means like, okay, you know what you're doing. Like,
there's only 4 levers. It's really easy. It's great. I keep it.
There's only there's an algorithm to figure that out, how many different combinations there are. But
there's like 2 switches too. So there's a little more complicated than just the levers. But no, Tom's he's the brains. So I don't know, Tom, what do we do here?
I didn't really have much to do with this beer. I really do like Anchor Steam a lot, and I love those styles of beer like alt beers and steam beers and Baltic porters that typically use lager yeasts at more ale-like temperatures. So, obviously there are alt yeasts, alt beer yeasts, but so I like doing that, and that's what we did in this one. We fermented our house lager strain at a warmer temperature. I have no idea what Duffy did with it, but it came out really good, and I really like it.
Well, I don't have my book in front of me, so I don't really know what I did either.
You pulled a couple.
Well, whatever it was, it worked.
Just for the record, is that Tom's very much a brew by the feeling kind of guy, and as a home brewer, before I came in to work for him, I was, these are the metrics. This is how it has to be made. It's got to. Oh my God, I missed the mash temperature. Like, it's the end of the world. But Tom is very much, hey, let's see how the beer wants to be, and we'll see, how it tastes. And this beer came out awesome. And we actually got lucky with coronavirus on this too, because it had to sit in the tank for a little while in lager, and it really softened it up. It really allowed all the flavor to kind of meld together, and it tastes great. I love it. I drink that beer. That's what I drink when I'm at the pub. That's what I go for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a nice, super easy drinking beer, and it fits that space where like normally I would go for a lager, a pilsner, a Helles, a Kolsch, these sorts of styles of beer, and it occupies that same, easy drinking top of the podcast beer. We always drink those kind of beers at the top of the podcast, but it's something different. It has a different character to it than those more traditional like German style lagers. It does have a softness to it that you mentioned that I think is really nice, but it still has like a nice malty character and a little darker in color than I would have expected. It's really nice.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. There's the malt. Can I say malt backbone? Is that phrase allowed to come back?
You're just there's the malt.
There's malt.
There's the yeast. There's the hops.
Can't forget the hops.
There's the water.
Yeah, I mean the water's.
Did we use malt in this one, Tom? I can't remember.
Sorry?
Did we use malt in this one? I forget.
There was a considerable amount of malt.
I was gonna say just a little bit,
good.
just a touch.
But it's got it's got the malt sweetness there, but there are extra layers to it. Where almost like it's got like the spices that are there, and it's very well rounded, and it's a nice blend of those styles. And man, is this delicious! This is the beer I needed to start my night with.
I think it has a lot of yeast. I think it has a lot of yeast driven flavors, which is nice. At least I pick up that.
Yeah.
It almost has a little bit of Belgian character in the tail end. I want to say that sort of yeasty.
Yeah, I could see that.
Sort of
yeah, Duffy did something wrong. That's why that tastes like.
Yeah, probably. I probably used the wrong yeast.
Yeah.
Some of the most amazing beers I've ever had came out of doing something wrong.
Yeah, tell me about it. Is the Tropicali on this list?
No, unfortunately not.
Let's not talk about that one.
That might be a last call story.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, someone write that down.
Yeah, what did you say? Tropicali? I'm writing that down.
There was years and years and years ago when we were still infants in the podcast land. We went to a brewery in Lebanon, Pennsylvania called Snitz Creek, and they had a beer that they did for the Sochi Olympics. But it was a happy accident where the yeast died halfway through, but it still turned out okay, and they just can never reproduce that beer again because of the way it died. Like, you can't force that to happen. So that's what I was looking to, is like the happy accidents.
Right. Yeah, we have a lot of happy accidents.
Just be like Bob Ross. It's all birds.
Well, yeah, I mean the really lovely thing about having a brew pub is that, except for like the lemon meringue, one of our, it's pretty much our only year-round beer. We can make whatever we want, and if we mess up, we can tell people, yeah, that's what we're going to shoot for.
Just call it a different name and say it's a different style.
Right.
Well, I will say that one of the happiest things that came out of the last little bit for me is when Duffy told me that he came in one day and decided that he was going to change the beer on the fly, like what he was going to make, and I that blew my mind up because he's so regimented, and like I got to have all the malt like out there the day before, and for him to say that really made me feel good. So, I don't really care if he messes up as long as it's a happy accident.
Right.
Well,
It takes a special level of skill to be able to do that, to just on the fly make some kind of change. I feel like,
Yeah. It's a true brewer's art.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a lot to be said for that.
It's a lot of cleaning and problem solving.
And cleaning.
And more cleaning.
Don't forget the cleaning. Don't forget the
And more
cleaning.
cleaning.
Brewery's pretty clean, right? I'm on vacation right now, so if he says no, that means
He did mention you were going to be out of town. I'm sorry we had to interrupt your vacation.
Oh no, this is great.
You're zooming from Chicago, right?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago. I just left Off Color.
Oh, cool. I was in Chicago last October.
They're having some fun in that brewery, man.
Very cool.
Can't say I'm familiar with them.
They have a cream ale. They have a Maibach on. They have a Sati. It's crazy. They have all. I'm looking at the menu like, is this real?
Are you sure this isn't just like a wish list?
And then you added Sati, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, wow. That's cool. That's really cool, though. Well, I mean, I kind of want to. I guess we should probably start from the beginning. So, Tom, you've been in the Philly beer scene for quite some time now, and I would say you're one of the more established brewery owners in the area. So you started off with Earth Bread and Brewery. That was 2008, if I remember seeing right.
Correct.
So I guess what led to doing that? And I think we may have touched on this a little bit in the symposium panel, but I guess for anyone who may have missed it, what kind of prompted that opening?
Yeah. So my first I worked as a brewer for a couple of places right after I got out of school, but my first project of my own was Heavyweight, which was a small brewery in New Jersey on the shore, and it was around for a long time, like 7 years, but it was one of those passion projects where I never really made any money. Jersey laws were more strict back then. You couldn't have a restaurant or even sell beer at a bar, at a tap room. So it was just bottles and kegs, and doing unusual styles. Heavyweight wasn't really so much the gravity, the strength of the beer, although that came to be sort of what I was known for. But it was just making styles that that were unusual, that people didn't know, and that you couldn't get here, that kind of thing. And so Lou Bryson, actually, who you guys probably know, he came to my brewery and he says, listen, if you're going to do really unusual styles, you have to do a Baltic Porter. So he and I, got our heads together and wrapped around Percuno's, what became Percuno's Hammer, which we're still making actually at Techne today. Not today, but because Duffy's in Chicago. But and then he introduced me to Eddie Friedland, who was Friedland Distributing in Philly, which turned out to be a really great market for us. So we sold a lot of beer in Philly. And when I decided that Heavyweight had run its course and I didn't really want to do it anymore, and I wanted to do something more retail focused, we decided to look for a place in Philly, and that's how we ended up at Earth Bread and Brewery. And then again, like you said, we've been here 13 years. And then 5 years ago, we teamed up with good friends to open Bar Hygge in Fairmount, Spring Garden, and with its own brewery Techne. Again, Brewery Techne was branded separately because we kind of envisioned that we would be doing some off-premise sales out of there. And then, I started brewing down there and at Earth, and then Duffy one day I just came in and he was brewing, and I don't know, I just let him. So
I weaseled my way right in there.
Just walk off the street to the brew house and start pitching yeast.
A side note, if anyone wants to hear Lou's version of that story, you can listen to episode 136, because he did talk about the introduction of the Baltic Porter to the Philly market via Tom. So that story is in an earlier episode as well.
I do remember that now that you bring it up. That was a while ago. Yeah. That was a fun episode. Yeah, I'd recommend listeners go check that one out. Dig deep into the vault.
Yeah, Lou Bryson's a sweetheart. He I haven't talked to him in a really long time, but if you're out there, Lou, thanks.
Yeah, Lou's the man.
Oh, he is. He's a fun follow on Facebook. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. We had him on the show a couple of years ago, and it was awesome. He was just a treasure trove of knowledge, and that was right around the time I got into whiskey. And Lord knows the man knows a thing or two about whiskey, to say the least. And it was such an eye-opening experience to talk to somebody that well-versed in both aspects and both worlds, to just get a real casual lesson about how it all goes and real great insights into both industries. And he's a great follow on Facebook, but also Twitter. He's a good follow there too. He's very vocal against the PLCB.
Yeah.
which
I find interesting, but also he makes very good points for why he is.
We could probably do like an entire, we could probably do an entire podcast.
Oh, for sure.
Talking to the people that we've just met about liquor laws in the PLCB in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, for sure.
Not really at the forefront of everyone's minds now, though. With the past year, there's more important things to worry about.
True. Very, very true.
It's true. So what led you from Earth Bread and Brewery to this new-ish, I mean, you say 5 years ago, project with Hygge and Techne?
We things were going pretty well at Earth, and our partners Stu and Julie at Hygge, they used to come in. They have a place out in Conshohocken called Bagadaways. They're still involved in that, but they used to use Earth Bread and Brewery as a sort of a way station on the way back home down to Fairmount, and so we got to know them really well, and we connected. They have similar ideas of what hospitality and the whole industry should present. We're very eco-minded, and they were as well. So we just started saying we should do something together, and they wanted to do something close to home, and so we looked around, found a new project, a new building in Spring Garden, Fairmount, and just went from there. And it's been a really good experience for Peggy, my wife, and I, because they live down there, and they're like the boots on the ground, I always say. So I help out where I can, and my wife does the bookkeeping, but Duffy and Stu and Julie, they're really the ones that make that place a success, and it's doing phenomenally well. I can't even believe how well it's doing right now, even in the midst, coming out of the hard part of the pandemic. We're almost back to where we were before, and that's crazy considering that we're still only seating like 7 or 8 tables inside, right, Duffy? Something like that.
That's really limited indoor seating. There's no bar seating, which is 18, 19 seats, and then it's every other table. But the place is designed so that you're comfortable. We can't even seat the room that's like the we call it the Hygge room, the lounge-ish room with all the couches, because there's no way to social distance in there, and so it's like a third of the restaurant and half of the tables. So Hygge was designed to be like a 3-part restaurant. It was a bar, of course, with with bar seats and such, and really great cocktails and of course beer, and then it was dining with booths and tables and stuff. But then it was a lounge too, which had nice stuffed chairs and candles, and
And so whether you wanted to just come in to have a cocktail with your friends, and you wanted to sit in the stuffed chairs, so it had like a lot of different aspects to please a lot of people. And I mean, I would really love it to get back to that, but even though we're not there yet, I mean, it's just amazing to me how people still want to come to this place, and it's still, and I can't even believe how well it's doing. I mean, Earth struggles every day, and Hygge, it seems like they got everything figured out.
It's crazy. The flatbreads at Earth, it's some of the best pizza in the city, I swear.
Thanks.
I mean, it's so good. Every time I bring somebody up there, they're like, "What? How do I not know about this place?"
Yeah, right. It's interesting to have such a different circumstance at the two different locations where, you say Hygge is still doing, obviously not, people aren't busting down the door, lining around the block to get in, but you're doing pretty well considering the circumstances. I wonder if it's like location or the fact that it's a little newer, that it's held up a little better. You never know.
I mean, it's all that. I think Fairmount Spring Garden, they have a much younger clientele, and they're more adventurous, and like Mount Airy is where Earth is much more mature, and I think people are more cautious about the pandemic, and they're going to wait until they get vaccinated before they come out. Sorry,
what are you saying about? I live in Fairmount. What are you saying?
He said you're mature and cautious and responsible.
Yeah, definitely.
About people who live in Mount Airy.
Oh no, right. Oh no, so you're the opposite of those.
Yeah, you're young.
I live a block and a half away from the brewery.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, so
doesn't get much closer from me.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I went to Temple for college, and when I was there 05 to end of 09, beginning of 2010. And I wish Spring Garden would have had the same level of I wish Hygge could have been there when I was there, because that would have been a cool destination that's relatively close that I could have taken my friends out to like experience the lounge atmosphere and get the great beer and the cocktails. But at the time, that wasn't what the area was for. North Philly was a war zone at the time, basically.
I went to Temple from 2004 to 2009.
Oh, yeah. So we overlapped.
And you wouldn't walk from Temple to where I live now, which is right around the corner.
No.
And now it's a nice leisure stroll.
Yeah. It would have been so different if it were that way when we were there, but no, you didn't really leave campus for fear of your own life.
No.
I remember I lived in Reading at the time, and I would go back like on weekends in the summer, and I was talking to some guy. My major was broadcasting, and he ran a radio station, and he's like, "Oh yeah, where do you go to school?" I'm like, "I go to Temple." He goes, "Oh, you don't have any bullet holes yet? Impressive." Like that was the reputation North Philly had at the time. You kind of expected to get shot.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Steph, tell us about that unicorn Peloton that you have in back.
Well, my birthday was this week, so
happy birthday.
Thanks. You get a rainbow unicorn when you're celebrating your birthday.
I didn't get one of those for my birthday.
It's a way to get a balloon and not waste helium, because it's filled with air. It's not filled with helium. So I get the joy of a balloon without stealing helium from the earth.
But it's also an exercise machine? You said it was a Peloton?
I mean, anything's a Peloton if you try hard enough.
Is that true?
I mean, if you really commit.
Well, I guess I could use my exercise bike and just like put my iPad there and say that it's a Peloton.
It's sort of the same philosophy of pizza, which I think Tommy will appreciate, that any pizza is a personal pan pizza if you believe.
That's true.
That is very true.
I believed many times.
Chicago style deep dish.
Oh God,
that is true.
Literal single slice this night for the first time, and I couldn't eat until noon today.
Yeah.
Have you had a Chicago style hot dog yet?
Well, I have, but that was years ago.
Okay.
I haven't had one on this trip. It's on my list.
What is that?
My biggest problem is the like unnaturally green relish they have.
Yeah, so
out there.
there's like neon green relish.
Look at it.
Yeah. And then it's a steamed poppy seed bun. There's a certain type of pepper that goes on it. I forget. There's mustard. It's a very specific dressed hot dog. But when I was in Chicago the first time last year, I had it for the first time. It was really good.
I don't know if I asked you this when you were about your Chicago trip. Did you have deep dish pizza?
I did not.
What?
Actually.
Come on, man.
I had a lot of really good food.
I don't doubt that.
It's a food city, man.
It really is. Yeah.
There's so much food out here.
Yeah.
I've been craving a legit like Chicago deep dish pizza for a very long time. Like I'm talking over 10 years, and I've never been to Chicago. The closest I can get is Uno's, and like, yeah, that's good, but it's not.
Here, I'm going to tell you a secret.
Uh-oh, please.
Like twice a year, Aldi has frozen deep dish pizzas, and they are made by Gino's. And it is seriously the next best thing out of Chicago. If you can't get to Chicago to get deep dish pizza, I highly recommend getting your hands on one of the frozen deep dish pizzas from Aldi. And yes, I am advocating for a frozen pizza. And I don't eat frozen pizza.
Yeah.
We make fresh pizza literally once a week here at home. But if you want,
I don't know if the screen's frozen or if Tom's having a stroke right now.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing about Dan when he made that face. He kind of froze, and I didn't know.
I have
that was
problem
just
with
frozen
pizza.
Hey, I mean, it gets the job done.
Earth actually stole its concept from American Flatbread, which is a Vermont, a Burlington, Vermont restaurant and pub and brewery that one of my friends owns, and they used to make frozen pizzas that were in like the equivalent of the Whole Foods, whatever was up in Vermont, and they were really good. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with frozen pizza.
I used to almost exclusively eat frozen pizza because I worked 3 jobs and never had time to actually cook. So frozen pizza, pop it in the oven for like 10 minutes, you got 3 meals.
Yeah, he doesn't mean exclusively eat frozen pizza instead of regular pizza. He means exclusively ate frozen pizza for every meal.
Pretty much, yeah. It was either frozen pizza or Hot Pockets because of timing, and I was very unhealthy.
So what's the top choice then? What's the number one frozen pizza?
Well, I mean, for me, I would go to Acme and I would get their store brand. They have a real good flatbread that's chicken bacon ranch, and it was delicious. I'm not gonna lie. They also had like a heavy on the crust 3-meat pizza that was really good, and they had an Alfredo one that was good. And you could sometimes walk in and get 3 for $10. So I mean, if I'm getting 9 meals out of that for $10, yeah, I guess it works out financially, but my heart begged to differ.
And now you're seeing like a dietitian or something?
Yeah, today was my last appointment with my actual nutritionist because she got another job.
I was going to say because she gave up all hope.
No, she's like, nope, you are the reason I'm getting out of nutrition. I'm going to go work at In-N-Out Burger.
Oh my goodness.
My life's calling has been a lie.
Yeah, thank you for proving me wrong.
Anyway.
So I was looking at the current tap list, Duffy, and I have to ask the story behind the Sorry Tom Stout. I feel like there has to be a story there.
It's an interesting dynamic between Tom and I, because so the other, you have Tom and Peggy who are at Earth, and you have Stu and Julie who are, as Tom put it, the boots on the ground. But every once in a while, I won't know what to make, and I know I'm going to have to order malt in a couple days. So I'll ask. I'll say, what do you guys want to drink? And they said, hey, we want a stout. And we want something on our cask on the beer engine. So I said, all right, cool. I'll make, something low alcohol because we have a lot of high alcohol beers on the menu right now. And so I'll make a low alcohol, like a kind of sweet stout, no lactose, because I don't know, we don't really do that. But, I wanted to have it finished with a lot of residual sugar and, be full bodied and sweet. And I thought it would taste really good on cask. So I believe I just brewed the beer that day and text messaged Tom. I don't know what time it was. I think maybe it was like 9:00 in the morning. Like, hey, I'm going to grain out by 11, which means he has to come down and help me, move the spent grain out. And he said, I didn't know you were brewing today. I was like, oops. So we get down, he comes down, and he says, hey, what are you brewing today? I said, oh, I'm making a stout. He goes, that's stupid. And then just turned around and walked away. Listen, it's fine. It's no big deal. But he just walked away, and I was like, well, I guess Tom didn't want me to do that. But at the end of the day, we were sitting around and we said, well, what are we going to name this beer? And pulling beers off for cask is great because it's before it goes on draft. It's like kind of a preview of a lot of the beers that we'll put on. So if you see a beer on draft, eventually you'll probably see it. If you see a beer on cask, you'll probably see it on draft shortly thereafter. So that's always
a name.
it's always a working title, a different name, because it is a different beer. It's warmer, it's not carbonated or nitrogenated, and
so what is the name? What is the proper name for the stout? Do you know?
It's going to be Black is Beautiful when it's carbonated and put on draft.
Oh,
That's
perfect.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to donate proceeds from that to the Philly. It's the Black Doctors Consortium.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Right.
Didn't they did a lot of work in trying to get people tested and then roll out vaccines for COVID. Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of news about them. That's what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Lee Core Center. That was them. Yeah.
Yeah, I got I was lucky enough to have a connection at Penn, so I got my vaccine there. But after that, I got a lot of communications at various different channels, email and otherwise, about them and everything they were doing to try to get people appointments and stuff. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like they actually tried to get a hold of more people than the government did, considering FEMA's running the convention center vaccination site.
That's possible.
I did get communications from them too.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all over. Did you guys do anything with the Black is Beautiful when it first came up last year, or is this like the one that you're doing now?
That was actually a time when we had full tanks.
Yeah.
I mean, we were going into March. We were very well prepared for the next 2 or 3 months to really be moving at a good clip. And when things ground to a halt, it was like all the beer just sat in the tanks. We were lucky enough that we were able to move a lot of it for off-premise draft at a lot of places. And now that we have the canning line, we have a way to get it out to the customers. And we have a really good following down in Fairmount, and people came out. People really showed up. They bought crowlers. We had 32-ounce crowlers. I mean, we sold out of them. And we were buying them literally as quickly as they would ship them to us, and it was great. So we were able to move through it fast, but it was no comparison to when the restaurant was open and we were moving at full bore. So we didn't really have an opportunity to get a beer like that on the tanks. But we're happy now that we've got this in and we can do it right.
Very cool.
But Earth's had one on, right, Tom? You guys had one on.
Yeah, so we brewed it first, but then the pandemic hit and it was a nitro stout, and we couldn't do growlers or growlers.
Right, yeah.
So we just sat on it, and now we're pouring it again here because now we have some indoor dining.
Right.
And luckily, it just held up. It tastes really good.
Yeah, cool. I'm asking my partners, was that one that we got? And we tried to do like a Pokemon catch 'em all with the Black is Beautiful beers. And I don't think, did we never get to
I don't think we did, no.
No.
I couldn't remember that. We had so many of them. They were all very good.
Don't forget the Ann Brewery. Peggy, don't forget the Ann Brewery. It's Earth Bread Brewery. Peggy will pop up out of those shelves you have behind you, and she'll correct you.
Ann Brewery.
She'll let you know.
Is it like I'll admit that it was a really stupid name, Earth Bread and Brewery. But like the idea was, it's Earth was we wanted to when I wrote my business plan for Earth, it was to try and create a very sustainable, eco-friendly restaurant that wasn't as wasteful. Like, restaurants are notoriously wasteful, and it was trying to compost everything we can, and then the bread obviously is we still don't call it pizza because everybody knows what pizza's like. It's got a lot of cheese on it and whatever. It's got a lot of sauce and all this stuff. Like we wanted to really focus on the underneath, right? So the crust of it. And then brewery, but it's like weird, like how it was put together, Earth Bread Brewery. It's like, it doesn't, if it was Earth Bread Brew maybe or something, I don't know. It's like people just have the hardest time with it, and it's Earth. And if it was just Earth, I would be fine with it. Like, I'm going to go to Earth, that's fine. But Earth Bread, I'm going to go to Earth Bread. It's just like, I still get like, it's just tingling in my toes when people say that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be athletics, some kind of problem I have with my feet, but
could be joint pain. Who knows? It's interesting though, because people do smash the Earth and bread together. Like if you think about it as Earth, bread and brewery, that makes sense. But everybody does smash the Earth and bread together. So it's
I'm actually okay with it now. Peggy still drives her crazy, but I just all right.
Although I will say I have to point out that technically Earth bread is potatoes.
Wow.
Just say.
All right.
I don't know if I should disagree with you, but I'm gonna Google it when we're done here.
I'm gonna Google it.
Well, I mean,
there is precedent out there. That's all.
Is there precedent? I was just gonna go with they're both starchy.
Yeah.
Peggy, when we go to, I think it's Seattle. We've been out to the Northwest a couple times, and there's a chain out there called Pizza Schmitza. Do you guys know about that?
No.
Peggy's like, why didn't we think of that name? That's awesome. Pizza Schmitza. Better than Earth Bread. And Brewery. Sorry, I had to say that for Peggy's sake if she sees this.
That's the best.
Yeah,
I can see the frustration in people like misnaming it, but I do actually think it's kind of a cool name, and I think the logo is really cool. Like I think the whole branding of Earth is really cool. So
I actually had been going to Earth for years before I started working for Tom. It was one of my favorite places in the universe. I lived 15 minutes away in the suburbs, and I was like, oh my God, there's a brew pub. It's right here. It's great. And I mean, really, really awesome vibe. It's a really warm place. Highly recommend.
Very cool.
And
So Tom is 100% creative control down there, by the way. All I do is carry the grain up the stairs. That's literally, that's it.
not true.
That's all I do. I don't even know how to brew on that system.
Well, that's true. But
There's too many levers on that one.
There are 0 levers. I don't know. Tom whispers to the mill, and he gently taps the boiler, and everything just falls in line.
It's like Fonzie with the jukebox.
It's exactly like that, but there's like 6 jukeboxes, and he hits them in very different ways.
Before this episode is over, Duffy's going to say to us, I don't actually brew the beer. I just show up, and Tom comes up to me and says, that's stupid. And that's all I do.
He can't say that at Earth, though, because, again, I maintain. I show up at Earth, I go, what are we doing? What am I moving? What am I moving where? What should this dial read?
That's true. At Earth he comes up, he does all the heavy lifting, but yeah, I like it's Earth is different, much different than Hygge Techne because Earth originally we just made 4 beers, right? So we had 4 serving tanks, and we have 12 taps, and so we when we first started we supplemented the other 8 taps with really good craft beer that we could I have a lot of friends in the brewing industry. I can recall we had Sam Calagione come up to Earth on a snowy February evening, and it packed the place. It was amazing. Like we gave him 8. We actually gave him more. We took some of our beers off. We gave him like 10 taps. He brought up all this crazy stuff. And so that was I really loved that, having other really good craft beers. And then with Hygge, it's amazing to try and think how you could fill your tap list with 10, or I don't know, sometimes Duffy even has more than that.
We have 13
really good
on.
13, yeah. I mean, with really good beers. I mean, it's a challenge, but I like it. I like being able to come up with different unusual styles. But 2 different things. Earth is much different. I like to be more kind of classic up here, and I'll let Duffy do whatever wacky stuff that he's doing down there. I mean, that's fine.
Oh, that is not true.
Oh, that's true. Come on.
He calls me purist.
A purist, huh?
I mean, there's
Yells
nothing
at me.
necessarily wrong with being a purist.
Nothing at all.
And there's nothing
I'm
wrong
just
with
not
doing the crazy
comfortable
stuff.
enough in my own shoes to just throw some coriander in the end of a boil like Tom will, and at the end of the day, he knows exactly how much will taste good, and I'll throw it in, and you won't even taste it in the final beer.
Well, now that's interesting, because I wonder if Duffy, you have obviously brewing experience. Do you have any culinary experience?
No. I mean, I.
Oh, yes, he does.
That's not true. I started cooking after I started working for you. That's
now.
that's what got me into it.
Would you just make a brisket before you left?
Yeah, it was a brisket, but you can't put brisket in beer. That would be terrible.
We've had on this
it's
very
been
podcast a beer that had brisket put in it.
Never mind.
In
like
Back
a
that
tank or
man, I
something,
didn't say
like
it was
at the end?
terrible. I would
That
never
could not have been good.
It,
Is it good?
I don't think it really tasted like the brisket. If I remember right, it was smoky a little bit, but that was about it.
It was a very long time ago.
It was a gimmick.
Yeah, that's all it was.
If you want to talk about smoked beer, Tom's your guy.
Oh.
Yeah, I hate gimmick beers though. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, there's, they're kind of like a flash in the pan and gets to the attention, but I mean, what do you follow it up with? I'd rather go to somewhere these days that has consistent beer that tastes the same every time and isn't like, I threw a pound of brisket in this. I'm like, well, why? Why not just let me eat the brisket and then drink the beer? Why do they have to be combined?
Why would you do that to brisket?
Yeah. Don't sully the brisket or the beer by mixing.
The only gimmick beer that I'm a fan of is Cheerios beer.
I was just gonna say,
I love Cheerios, and Cheerios in a beer.
One of the first times I brewed with Tom, he told me we're gonna put Cheerios in a beer, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "Are you kidding me?"
I need to rethink my life choices.
Okay, man, you're the master. Like, we're doing it. It was a pale ale, I'm pretty sure. And we put the Cheerios in, and in true fashion, Tom grabbed a bowl from the kitchen and poured some of them into a bowl and a little bit of milk, and just started eating Cheerios as we were waiting for the mash to rest. It was It was fun.
Yeah.
And he actually just asked me to make another Cheerio beer. It was like 3 days ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Well, you could do like the variants on it. You could do like Honey Nut Cheerios.
Chocolate Cheerios.
Chocolate, yeah. You do, yeah.
Ooh,
like
what about
do
a
like
honey kolsch with Cheerios?
oh,
Honey Kolsch with Cheerios. Okay.
I like the sound
Tom,
of that.
Okay,
Is that
Steph, I'm going to
green?
hook you up with Duffy. You're going to do a collaboration here.
All right. I would drink that.
you got to bring the unicorn. You can't come to brew without the unicorn.
Well, and I happen to have 2 pairs of pink boots, so I have a pair for myself and a pair for the unicorn.
Yeah,
So we're
but
good.
doesn't the unicorn need
Yeah, but
2
the
pairs?
unicorn has 4 feet.
Yeah. Guess you got to get another pair of pink boots.
Yeah, but she's up like this.
Okay.
These
Oh,
toes don't
okay.
need the boots.
So it's just the
she's in
hind
position.
legs. Okay,
Right,
that makes
right.
sense then.
And just get pink
For the
horseshoes
record,
for the.
We love guest brewers because graining out is not fun.
Steph is going to make you do a spicy beer if you let her guest brew.
Oh, that won't happen. Tom will never let that happen.
No, so this is how I got through grain out. I just looked at it as my daily facial.
Yes, sure.
Interesting.
This is just great for my pores, and you just
It's a
keep
good
telling
steam.
yourself that, and then you get
The
through
spa kind, Dan. The spa kind.
No, of course I know it's the spa kind.
Okay, well, wait. Speaking of spa, one of the guest brewers that we had at Hygge was a brewer from Lithuania. She came over here because she wanted to try and sell her yeast, which was, unusual, and no one had it here, and she wanted to see if there was an interest in a lab like picking up her yeast. And so she came and brewed with us, and we were you there, Duffy, when this happened or not?
Yeah. She had very short fingers, if I remember correctly.
So anyway, she wanted to know, she wanted to smell the malt. She wanted to put her hands in the hops. So when I showed her the yeast, she took a big handful of yeast and she spread it all over her face. Like she gave herself like a facial with it. And she, like, the rest of the day, she just had this yeast like caked onto her face as a facial.
That I don't remember.
I may have made that up. I don't know.
Well, I think actually that day, I think I left early, and you guys were there at the end of the brew, because that was in the beginning. But yeah, I remember you guys had some wacky stories about her after I left. Her beer was in a 2-liter bottle. She brought beer over from Lithuania. It was in plastic,
Like a
Plastic
soda bottle.
Yeah.
and it wasn't fermented. It tasted like wort. I mean, it didn't taste bad, but
I kind of feel like that's pretty badass.
she was a badass woman.
That's awesome.
I mean, she
Woman
was
was
like
hardcore.
70 years old. I mean,
Wow.
I don't know. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty awesome.
She had a translator with her. That was a really awesome experience meeting that woman. She said, "This is just how."
Is her yeast available over here?
It is now. Yeah.
So mission accomplished.
Yeah. Latvia, it's Latvian. I forget what it's called, but yeah, it's supposedly, so it's a cake yeast. She used to just take a little, kind of a handful out, and crazy. Like there's videos on the internet you could watch. I mean, her name is Aldonis. I don't know what, she's like the queen of Latvian brewing, and it's pretty amazing. Like she's it's like, it always amazes me what different cultures think of as beer. Like when you think of, sati, or what's the Russian kvass? This kind of like a bread soda. I love how these countries drink this whatever they're drinking, and it's just amazing to them. They love it, and I don't know. I just think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I always think it's really fascinating how different like cultural and like historical and geographic situations sort of give rise to different beer styles. Like a lot of styles were invented out of necessity in the brewing process. Lagering was invented because, they wanted to store beer longer, and,
right.
All this sort of thing. And all these styles that sort of just pop up as, I'm blanking on examples now, obviously, of course I'm saying it, but it's a similar kind of thing, how like every culture has a different approach to it, and how like the history and the cultural ideas and even like where the water comes from affects the kinds of beers that different people brew. And then, they become codified as styles, and that's what we have today. And it's a really cool history. Yeah.
Yeah. Tom is really in tune with, he loves making one of our like rotating house beers is the Phoebe. It's a Beerdegard. He's really in tune with the historical beers from, the Franco-Belge region, the Saisons, the, Baltic style porter even, right? I mean, those are old beers, man. And what was the one we made, the grinding groups? What was that? That was a
Gotland Stricka.
That's right. That was a good beer, man. That was one of our opening beers. I remember that.
Very cool.
Speaking of opening beers, I heard somebody do that.
I was going to say, you mentioned Baltic Porter, so I've made the executive decision that that's the next beer we're drinking.
Interesting. See, I was going to say we should go to the lemon meringue next, but you've made your executive decision.
No, Baltic Porter comes next.
Are we allowed to talk about what we put in that beer, Tom? I don't know.
Oh, please do.
I don't know, Duffy, what'd you put in it?
I don't know. I only put it in what you told me to put in it. I'm just saying that
there's actually nothing
there's
in
a very
this beer.
specific list of ingredients that you're allowed to put in beer.
Yeah, it's called the Reinheitsgebot.
Ha.
No. Not at Techne or at Earth, for that matter.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. So, not that I've ever done this, but if I was going to make a Baltic style porter that I would call the Perkunos Hammer, I might put Roman beans in it. I might cook Roman beans and put them in, because historically, from what I'm told, that's accurate. Goes in the mash.
There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah,
for me anyway.
Yeah.
One is I have no idea what Roman beans are.
Me
I
neither.
assume they're beans from Rome. Two, I've never heard of beans being historically put into a Baltic porter. This sounds.
I mean, it's never been done.
It's historic, but it's never been done.
It's never. I can't say that it's ever been done.
Never here, never in Rome.
You didn't
nowhere
do
in
it.
between or beyond.
I sure have never done it.
No.
You
Not
have
one
never
time
done it.
Have I cursed at Tom for asking me to cook 50 pounds of beans the morning of a
It's
brew
supposed to be
day?
25 pounds. He cooked 50. I don't know what the hell is wrong with him.
I didn't cook 50, but if I did cook 50, I'd have been really upset
That you had to cook 50 beans.
that I had to cook 50 pounds of beans for a beer that we make pretty regularly.
Yeah. So going back to Lou Bryson again, he told me that Michael Jackson, the famous beer writer, had written that Baltic brewers use unusual fermentables like peas and beans to adjunct the starch and hence the sugar content of the wort in the beer. So almost like a cheaper way of doing things, to add more starch, other than from the malt. So it was actually Lou's suggestion to use beans. And when I looked around, the easiest thing to find in 50-pound, in large pound bags was cranberry or Roman beans. They look like pinto beans, but they're more speckled. And so that's what we use in making Perkunas hammer. So they're cooked and added into the mash. Sorry?
I said, no, we don't. We don't use that.
So it's something you may have thought about. At
You're
one
right.
point.
You're right. It was cranberry beans. I was wrong. I don't know why I said Roman. Definitely cranberry.
I'm just not
They're
familiar
also
with
called
the
Roman
varieties of
beans.
Yeah. I know pinto beans. I know lima beans. I know baked beans.
They taste great first thing in the morning.
Oh, yeah?
A little bit of salt, a little bit of oil.
So Duffy's gonna wince because I tell this story so many times that I had these two Italian guys that used to come to my brewery and apprentice with me when I had heavyweight, and I would be cooking the beans when they came in the morning, and they were like, Tom, in their Italian accents, they would say, all we need is some olive oil and some salt, and we have some lunch. Every time they said that.
Some olive oil and some salt.
And every time we talk about making this beer, Tom says that.
Don't worry. The three of us have stories that we all tell all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Me especially. It's
it works for me, though, because I have a really bad memory, so I forget every time he tells the story.
Yeah. Well, me too. So that's probably, it goes hand in hand. It's interesting, though, like the idea of that being a traditional adjunct for a Baltic porter, because when you think about like corn and light lager, like that makes sense. And I feel like beans are the corn equivalent for a porter. Like it just kind of makes sense in my head.
Agree.
Beans are like the porter version of corn.
I have to say this before my brain makes me hate myself for it. I'm going to hate myself for saying it anyway. But when you said Roman beans, all I could think of was Caesar, and I went to brew te. It's not funny, but my brain needed to get that out in the open. I'm so
surprised
sorry.
that never made it as a early pun title to this podcast.
Actually, yeah, me too.
The first, what was it, 10 to 15 episodes of our podcast?
Oh, it had to be more.
Dan tried to name every episode with a beer pun, much like the one he just mentioned, but never used that one. We stopped that fairly quickly because there's only so many.
Yeah.
And they're not funny.
Hey,
no, but I will say my favorite, one of my favorite episode titles of our podcast ever is Who Framed Lager Rabbit?
I was sitting on that title for a long time before I used it.
It's not even a great pun. It's one of those puns that's not good as a pun, but it's still funny.
Tom,
I'll take it.
Write that down. we got to make a lager up at Earth. And one of the hardest things about brewing when you work in a brew pub and you're not making the same 20 beers is, what are you going to name it? You come up with names like Sorry Tom.
Mm-hmm. There may be, we may be playing a game today that's all about weird beer names.
Oh, good Lord.
We have an 8645 on our menu right now at Earth. Do you guys know what that means?
I don't know what that means.
Nobody?
86.
I think I get it.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
I like it. I like it. Oh. Yeah, right. I like that a lot. It's a slow burn, but when you get it, oh man.
It took
our next beer is good. Our next beer is Good Old Joe.
Is it going to be a coffee beer of any kind?
So.
Oh,
that's
IPA.
good. 86.
I like it. I really like it.
Took a minute.
Yeah.
It took me way too long, but that's good. That's really good.
So while we're sipping on this, I do want to ask. So this is this Baltic Porter I've had many times at Earth alongside a pizza. Was the choice to change it to a Techne beer purely so you could start packaging it, or do you still also brew this at Earth?
No, I brew it wherever, but it's nice to have it in can and more accessible to people. So yeah, we just brewed Lunacy as well. It was a Belgian Golden that I made at Heavyweight. We brewed it to the original recipe, and we're going to be packaging that in 60-ounce cans as well. Well, actually, Duffy will. I won't be doing anything.
He comes down. He helps me run the packaging line.
Nice. For some of these beers, Tom, that you've been brewing for so long, and with your more laid back brewing style, with maybe not always sticking to the recipe, were there any complications or difficulties with starting to brew it at the system at Techne, or was it a smooth transition to switch over?
No, it's always it's always a bit of a challenge to change the brew length. So Earth and Heavyweight are both 7-barrel, and Techne is a 10-barrel. So we have to scale it up. It takes a little bit of trial and error. Like I mean, we've made, how many times have we made Percuno stuff?
The hammer, I think we made 4 or 5 times, which is.
So I mean, I think every time we make it, we get better at it. But I think it's like the first time, I think it never comes out right. Even this lunacy.
A few more beans.
Sorry, yeah, more beans.
A few more beans.
Well, or like in this lunacy that we just made, it's great, but it doesn't have enough coriander for me because I like a lot of coriander. So, but to figure out like some things aren't linear, like hops are a good example. You don't scale up hops linear. You do probably with malt, but hops you get more bitterness. So you have to kind of trim it back. Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to, it's like the opposite of a logarithmic curve. I don't know what that's called.
No, I'm not going to.
But that.
If I remember right, the first time we tried to make the hammer, that wasn't the hammer when I went on draft.
Does it say Lager Hard on your shirt, on your cap?
Does.
Lager Hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Bierstadt Lagerhaus.
I love that place.
Literally my favorite brewery on the entire planet.
So my favorite brewery on the entire planet is True, outside of Earth and Hygge, of course.
That is one of the best bars ever. I love the bar
True
there.
Brewing, man. I love that place. But Bierstadt, man. Slow pour pills. I'll drink it till the sun comes up.
Yep.
Tom will tell you I'm a Germophile. I love German beer.
It's a German nut. That's what he is.
I mean, it is the superior country when it comes to beer making.
It's probably
they know
the
how
best
to
beer.
make good beer and good beer food, man. Schnitzel
Yeah.
and
But their problem is they're too regimented. They can't think outside the box, those Germans.
In Berlin, they do. There's some interesting beer styles coming out of Berlin, but you know what though? If I want German beer, it's because I want a well-made Pilsner or a Helles or an amazing Rausch beer. Like, just give me what I want. I don't need all the frills.
That's what we're making. That's going to be your lager. Is going to be a Rausch beer.
I mean, I am going to throw out there that, I mean, obviously we're family, the three of us. We have German heritage. My favorite beers are German beers. My favorite food is German food, which therefore means my favorite restaurant is Brauhaus Schmitz. And I got to go there recently after I got my first vaccine, and my God, it hit every note I needed it to. So they might not think outside the box, but man, they're damn good at their classics.
Yeah, and I'm loving all the box and the Doppelbox right now that, well, they're starting to trickle away as we're getting into warmer weather, but
think outside the box.
Oh boy, think outside the box.
Well, there are my box now. It is my box season, so
I guarantee you. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna place a bet right now.
Oh no.
Somebody's gonna go on Untappd or Google or whatever. I guarantee you there is a beer out there called Think Outside the Box, BOCKS.
I was gonna say Steph's already doing
What's
it.
the wager? I'm curious.
$20.
Wow, what?
When
No.
I was a kid, it was you have to drink a beer while you're standing on your head.
Oh God, that just sounds painful.
All right, that works.
It's not easy, but it's worth it.
It's not easy to drink anything standing on your head.
I'm getting old. That just sounds miserable. Okay, nothing?
Yeah, the information is you owe me $20.
It really doesn't exist?
What?
Do you have Venmo? I will send you $20 right now.
Of course I have Venmo.
I don't know.
We didn't find any beers matching Think Outside the
Look
Box.
up at
Write it down, Duffy. Write it down.
Look up
I
at
think
Two
that's good.
Brute.
If you Venmo her, put like salads.
Yes, salads. You should see the things I write when I send my girlfriend money.
Oh God. Steph, I'm curious. Look up Et Tu Brute.
How do you spell it?
BREWTE.
TE,
So
I guess.
So ET space TU BREWTE.
There's Et Tu Brute.
I guess that makes sense.
Okay,
Like
that's actually better. I like that.
From Sweetwater. And there's
all right.
one from-
Dan, I'm giving you that.
Yes. I'll take it. I'll take any small victory I can get these days.
There's a lot with that too, yeah. I can't believe it's not a think outside the box.
I'm really surprised.
Are you raising your hand?
Wait, you raised your hand? I didn't know you could do that.
Well,
in a
he gave me a thumbs up,
I have a question.
but then it went to the hands up.
Sorry, I told you I'm not a Zoom guy. I'm like trying
That's
to
okay.
No, you are more Zoom than anyone else, and no one else has used the.
Now you have a heart.
Oh
How are
man,
you
there's a
doing
heart
this?
on there.
there
I lowered your hand.
Yes, Tom. What is your question?
So how do I don't even know how to get rid of stuff. Sorry. What's that, Steph?
Oh,
What is
whoa,
your
hey
question?
now, Wayne, did
my
you
question-
highlight Tom?
How do I get rid of these emoji things just put on there?
I don't know. I got rid of your raised hand though.
They go away on their own.
I think
Eventually,
it
they
just
disappear.
like ran out of time and now it's gone.
Did you switch the view? Because it's going to speaker view for me, so I'm seeing like everybody.
Yeah,
did.
I had
okay.
to switch it back.
Yeah,
there I
I
am.
was looking at the options I have here. I can highlight any one of you.
Does that mean? Do I have to change
wow.
it back on my own
I
computer?
can
or
also
is that-
make any one of
is
you
that
the
a thing
host.
that
You have the
change?
power.
View.
I do. I never really explored all the
Gallery, there
options
we
here.
are.
I can
like to
I
mention
could put
that
any of you
first-
back in the waiting room.
The first 3 years Tom
All right, I'm done.
was, teaching me how to make beer, he had a phone that literally folded in half. It was amazing.
I remember those. I did want to interject real quick and just mention before I forget, this Baltic Porter is really fucking.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't really comment much.
I didn't
on
mention
it,
that yet,
and,
I've
and I
been
feel
sipping
bad.
it, and I just really like.
You
this.
can really taste the Roman beans.
Maybe I don't know what they are, so I don't know.
We didn't put any beans in that beer.
You can really taste the suggestion of Roman beans. No, I do love it. It's really good.
Mashed. We spoke quietly to the grain. We said, "Listen, this is what Roman beans would do if they were in there."
It's all about the power of suggestion.
And that's how it worked. If you will it, there is no dream.
The power of beans compels you.
Oh man,
I freaking love this beer, and I
It's
have
so
loved this
good.
beer since the first time I had it. Like, insert a bunch of years ago that doesn't make me sound old.
I got a great Pergino's Hammer story for you guys. So the first time we made this, we put it in 750s. We made a very small amount, probably, I don't know, 40 cases of 750s, and it got spread around. And because Heavyweight had no money, we printed our labels on our inkjet printer, and I got this stock from this guy who said that if you print inkjet ink on this label, it will become permanent. So you can put it on anything and it's not going to fade. It's not going to, so, okay. And so we made these labels and we put them on our, we numbered them, right? It was like, whatever. It was 700 bottles. One of 700. And we sold these bottles and then we found out we kept some of them. We found out when the bottle was cold and it sweated, it like all the ink just like went away. And it was just, and so it was kind of purple. So it just became like this pink, like solid pink label with just like the number. Like if it was number 6, it was 6. That's all you saw. It was nothing else. So one day I'm up in this bar in North Jersey, and the owner was this lovely guy. He sold our beer a lot, and he said we were drinking for a while, and he goes, Barbara and me and myself are going to go out to this restaurant. Would you like to come, you and Peggy? I was like, yeah. So he grabs this bottle from the basement of beer, and we go to this restaurant. He opens this bottle. I was like, what is that? And he says, I don't know. It's just like got a pink label. And, it's got a 7 on it, and so I knew immediately what it was. And it was just so good. Like I he had it for, this was probably, 4 or 5 years after it had been in bottle. And it was so sublime. I just like, I felt like hugging him and kissing him, but he was this big, huge guy. And I didn't really want to risk it. But I remember that so fondly. Like it was just such a wonderful beer. And I've never been able to make, and Duffy, he's never been able to make it either because
Not even close.
It was just magic, that one-time thing, right? You talked about it.
Yeah.
You just never can, repeat it.
Was that the version that won the the GABF medal?
No, that wasn't it. Yeah, but that won the GABF. But like, what do those guys know? They're idiots. Like they they don't know.
Sorry, I was baiting Tom a little bit there.
So Steph, who is aside you there?
This is Dana.
Dana, are you drinking as well, or I don't see you drinking anything? Oh, cool. All right.
Duh.
Just wanted to make sure. Everyone was properly lubricated.
We drink a lot of beer in this house.
Cool.
Yeah. We try to say we're not buying any more beer, and then I came home and there was another box of beer that had been delivered. So
that sounds so horrible.
I'm not buying a third refrigerator. I won't do it. So we need to stop buying beer or drink more. Although,
I mean, you could get just a bigger refrigerator.
That's true.
No. It
I
needs
think
to be consumed.
Actually, I would agree with that. And when Tom was telling that story, I got to say, PSA, don't age your beer. Most beer should not be. Don't let it sit. Drink.
No, I agree. We were with friends last weekend, and since I was the birthday girl, I was invited to choose whatever from the cellar I wanted. And he had a bunch of different Weyerbacher Reservas from many years. And I'm like, oh, this could be fun. So I pulled a 2009 and a 2016. I could not even drink the 2009. They were making fun of me, but it legit smelled like hot dog water to me. Like, it was gross.
I love hot dog water.
I mean, it does.
Was there did you have any chocolate starfish anywhere along the way?
Coriander in it. Maybe some Cheerios would have made it better.
Coriander, yeah, hot dog water.
I mean, the 2016 was pretty good, but it drink it. Like, I agree. There's no reason.
Fun fact, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, he's running.
He's going to get some hot dog water.
This is
maybe a chocolate starfish or two.
This is very typical. When I was brewing with Tom in the beginning, I was starstruck. First of all, you read books, you read the Saison book, and he's in it, just casually talking about beer. You're working for this guy, and again, I didn't really know much about beer. I still really don't know much about beer, and he. He'll come back. He'll say, "Yeah, come brew with me." And he'll come back there and he'll just, pull a couple of levers and then just leave. And you're like, "Well, should I be doing something? Am I? What do I do?" And that was very indicative. That was a very, Tom move. He just.
I needed a beer. I'm sorry.
If I had known that's what you were doing when we were making
I got the Love City Unity.
Oh, nice. It's great beer. Nice.
But coming back to it, Tom, the barrels that are on the wall, aren't those Weyerbacher barrels?
Mostly, yeah.
Down at Hygge.
Yeah.
So one of the walls, him and the partner. Sorry, go ahead. You did it. I don't know. I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, so Dan Weyerbacher, they only used the barrels for a number of trips, and so he sold us a bunch of the ones that he was going to discard, and they smelled really good when we were taking them apart. Just put them up on the wall. It looks pretty cool. Have you guys seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, dare I ask, should we transition into a game? Wayne, how do you feel about that?
Is that where we're at? That's fine with me.
I feel like it's close to where we're at.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, we can sip on some. Yeah, we can sip on some more of the Baltic that may or may not include beans of some sort, and just
Baltic
have
beans.
A mighty good time.
Cheers, Internet, and welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, the podcast trivia segment that has extremely short fingers. Today, we are joined by our friends Tom Baker and Duffy. I forgot to find where I wrote your last name down before I said it.
I don't have
say that
one.
again.
I don't have one.
We are joined today by Tom Baker and Duffy Lonergan from Bar Hygge and Brewery Techne in Philadelphia. They will be facing off against my co-hosts Dan and Steph in a competition for the trivial victory of Happy Fun Time Games champion. And today we will be playing Libation or Fabrication. In this game, I will give you the name of a beer, and you must decide whether it is a real, actual beer or an outright bald-faced lie. Now, I like to theme this game, and this game today has a theme. Now, I'm hoping in the near future I will have the good problem to have that is running out of COVID-inspired beer names to use on the podcast. But that day has not yet come. So all of our entries in the game today, even the fake ones, capture the sort of meme-laden pandemic zeitgeist of the past year and some change. So we will begin, in time-honored tradition. He's to my left on my screen right now, but not physically, with Dan. Tell me, is this real or is it fake? This beer is called One Mask, Two Mask, Red Mask, Blue Mask.
God, I hope it's fake. That's reaching for straws there.
All right, Dan is saying fake on a sort of aspirational basis. Steph, what do you think?
I'm saying real.
Steph is saying that is real. Tom, what do you think?
It's real.
Oh, Tom going unequivocally real. We have two reals, one fake. Duffy, what are you going to say?
I'm definitely on the real. Yeah, I think that's a real deal.
You are definitely a real boy. But you are not correct in this question because it is in fact fake. Yes, it is not a real beer. But it is, on top of being incredibly difficult to say, it is the title of an ebook, One Mask, Two Mask, Red Mask, Blue Mask, rhyming book that makes mask wearing fun for the families stuck in quarantine during the pandemic. That's the full title of this book. Available on Amazon, $2.99, free with the Kindle Unlimited if you're signed up for that. So it seems to be a well-intentioned book about mask wearing, but it also seems to be, let's say, hastily produced. But if you want to check it out, it's on Amazon, but it is not the name of a beer. So Dan was the only person correct on that question. We're moving on to Steph to guess first on our next beer of the game. Is it real? Is it fake? This beer is called Quarantiki.
Real.
Steph is saying that is real. Tom, what do you think?
Can you say the name again?
Quarantiki.
I say it's real.
Like tiki bar. All right, saying that is real. Duffy, what do you think?
I agree. I also think it's real.
All right, we've got three reels so far. Dan, are you going to agree? Are you going to buck the trend?
Oh, man. I don't know. I'll buck the trend. Let's go fake.
Oh, Dan bucking the trend. A bold move, but it doesn't pay off because it was, in fact, real. Everyone else is correct. This one, it comes from New Image Brewing, which is in Colorado, and some of their employees during their downtime during the pandemic got involved with mixology. And from that hobby arose Quarantiki, which is a beer designed to taste like the rum-based cocktail Bahama Mama.
Oh.
So it's actually a beer and mead hybrid.
Whoa.
And it was brewed in collaboration with Four Fires Meadery. Upon the release, the brewery stated on Facebook, after perfecting our homemade Bahama Mama recipes, we figured that's where we wanted to go with this collab. So we added pineapple, pomegranate, coconut, orange zest, coffee, and, of course, tons of honey to create a 12% ABV beer mead hybrid.
Sounds delicious.
It's a
I
brag.
know, it sounds pretty awesome, right?
It really does. I'm confused by the coffee edition, but also very intrigued by it.
The coffee was weird. I don't know like cocktails, so there's no coffee in a Bahama Mama, right?
No, but you can add coffee liqueur, which is technically rum-based if you do it right.
So a Bahama Mama is pineapple, pomegranate, coconut, orange zest, and coffee? Or a coffee liqueur?
Yeah,
I know,
like,
Dan, you're into like cocktails.
Like Kahlua, when you look at it, yeah, it's coffee liqueur, but if I'm not mistaken, there's a very good chance that I am. But I feel like somewhere along the way I learned that rum is involved in coffee liqueur. Like that is the liquor aspect of it, and the coffee just kind of like rounds it out as an aperitif.
Okay, there you go.
Look at me.
Well,
Maybe I did learn something from that YouTube channel.
It's amazing.
Wow. Unless I'm wrong, then I didn't, and fuck me.
Moving on to our next beer of the game, and we have come to our good friend Tom to guess first on this one. Tell me, is this real or is it fake? The name of this beer is Don't Stand So Close to Me.
Oh, that is definitely the name of a beer.
Saying that is unequivocally real. Duffy, what do you think? Did Duffy freeze?
Duffy, just remember There was a
think we may
beer
have lost
called
him.
I'll Have What the Man on the Floor,
is having. Yes, I've heard of that.
Just remember that.
I think we may have lost Duffy.
Yeah, either that or he's just. Oh, there he went.
Oh yeah, he's
Oh
gone.
man.
Uh-oh.
I loved him. I love that guy, but now he's gone. So.
But now he's gone. We don't have any precedent for this.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Bye,
Yep.
Duffy. I could probably edit this in such a way that if he comes back soon, no one would ever know he was gone.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how I'm going to edit the audio in that way.
Yeah. So, well, here's what we're going to do. Duffy lost his internet connection, so if he comes back by the time the other Dan and Steph guess, he will get to guess. Otherwise, he forfeits this question.
Oh, man.
Dan.
Oh.
We're going to go to you. Tell me, don't stand so close to me. Is that real or is that fake?
You made a point at the top of the game to say something about COVID-related beers. And I feel like, well, yes, this was one of my favorite songs from, I can't remember if it's Sting or the Police in general, but it's one of my favorite, their songs. I'm going to say real.
Dan is saying real. And yes, all the beers in the game are COVID-inspired. If you got glassy-eyed during my intro, which I don't blame you if you did, that's what we are doing. So Dan is saying that is real. Steph, we've come to you with that real or fake.
I will also say real.
Steph is also saying real.
Duffy's not
Everybody's
back yet.
correct because Duffy's not here. Everybody said real, and it is, in fact, real. And yes, it does share its name with one of the surprisingly creepy hits from the Police.
Wow.
Don't Stand So Close to Me is a Vienna lager from Georgia's Wild Heaven beer.
I mean, can we also remember every breath you take, every step you take, I'll be watching you? Because that's pretty fucking creepy.
Yeah, that was the point.
So
One
there's
of
one
their
of yeah, I mean,
surprisingly
it's just
creepy hits.
I mean, now I'm kind of worried about Sting.
Everybody should be worried about this thing. But yeah, this comes from a brewery in Georgia. It's called Wild Heaven Beer. The brewery has released a number of pandemic-inspired beers that I won't mention now because they may come back later in the game.
Oh.
So everybody who is present on the call said real, and everybody who is present on the call was correct. So we would be going to Duffy to guess first now, but he has disappeared into the digital ether. So we will start with Dan, I guess.
Oh, shit.
Our next beer of the game, is it real, is it fake? It's called But It Was Just Tuesday Yesterday.
I'm going to go fake.
Dan is saying that is fake. Steph, what do you think?
I'm also going to say fake.
All right. My co-hosts agreeing on fake. Tom, what's your perspective?
Yeah, I like saying fake, but I love that name of that beer, so I'm going to say it's true.
All right. Say, I love when people say real just because they want it to be real. Nope.
There's that can again.
Yep. Somebody has returned to the call.
Duffy's saying he can't get back in. I don't know.
I just admitted him.
Oh wait,
Uh-oh.
There he
Hey!
is.
There he is.
All
There he is. He's
right.
back.
I don't know. I didn't change nothing. I made sure when I didn't touch any.
It's that Chicago internet.
I was going to say it's the 5G tracking chip in your
that's a
second
good point.
COVID vaccine that you got.
That would make
Interfering
it
with your
faster.
laptop. Yeah, that's true. That would just make it.
But you're
blazingly
all in
fast.
different places on my screen now. It's going to be so confusing.
I know. Everything's in a different order. But you're in the same place on my screen, so I'm fine. But
happy.
you did miss a question, and I want to give you a chance to answer. Now, everybody here already knows the answer because we've gone over it. But the beer before last was called Don't Stand So Close to Me. Do you think that's a real beer or is that fake? And yes, we all know it's a song.
I really hope it's a real beer.
All right. Is that your answer?
Yes.
Because it's one thing to hope. It's another thing to say that's my answer.
Again, if you will, it's a real drink.
Uh-oh. Well, he has devolved into Android speak for a second there. Are you still with us?
Oh, is that how it's happening? All right.
Yeah, your internet, I think, is a little spotty.
I don't know what to do.
That's okay.
What are you at,
That's
an
okay.
Omni?
I don't want to speak ill of the hotel that I'm in.
Yeah, well, whatever. But regardless, there's probably a bunch of other people using the same internet, so it's understandable. That's okay. We'll deal with what we can.
Yeah, he's frozen. Look at that.
He froze again. Well,
Just
he
still
got
as I've
that
ever
one
seen
right.
him.
He doesn't know he got it right because I don't know if you can hear me right now.
Is it better? Is it better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Better?
Better, yes.
All right. Back on my cell phone data now. Apparently, the hotel Wi-Fi is just not.
Oh, are
happy.
you hotspotting?
I am now hotspotting. This is.
Well, I appreciate that effort to continue
Yeah.
the podcast.
Hey.
So
Important segment. It's a video.
this is true. So you were correct. Don't stand so close to me is in fact the name of a beer. If you want to know the details, you're going to just have to go back and listen to the episode or watch the video because we already talked about it.
Boom.
But we were in the middle of
Is
asking
that
about
me?
another beer that I haven't given the answer to yet. So is this real or fake? This beer is called But It Was Just Tuesday Yesterday.
It's not real.
All right, saying it is fake. So Duffy, Dan, and Steph said it was fake. Tom said it was real. Tom is the only one who was wrong because it is, in fact, fake.
I'm creating a beer like that next week.
I know, it's not okay with it, right? So some parts of society obviously are starting to come back to some semblance of a routine, which is great, and will continue to happen if everyone out there listening / watching this gets vaccinated as soon as you can. Please do that. Everything's going to be cool. But most of us have experienced the incredible malleability of time some point over the past year and change. So it would be a good beer name, but it's not. I made it up, so feel free to use it. Moving on to our penultimate question of the game, and I've totally lost track of where we are. So let's start with Duffy, since we don't know how long he's going to still be present. Tell me, is this real or is it fake? Our next beer is called Tropical Staycation.
Real.
Duffy is saying that is a really real beer. Dan, what do you think?
Oh God, I'm next. I'm gonna say fake.
Dan is saying that is fake. Moving on to Steph.
I'm gonna say real.
Steph going real. Everybody's all over the place here. Finally, Tom, who are you going to side with? Real?
Yeah, I don't think it's fake, but I don't think it's been done yet. But we're going to do it next week, so I would say it's not real right now.
So as of the recording, it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's incorrect. It's real. It is a really real beer. Remember earlier when I mentioned that brewery that had other pandemic-inspired names? Well, this is from them as well. Wild Heaven Beer in Georgia. In case you forgot, this one is an 8.5% double IPA brewed with mango, guava, and of course lactose, because that's what the cool kids do.
So Tom, we're gonna make that. We're making that next week. Tom, you said. I just like video evidence. You're saying you want to make it next week.
It's video evidence.
Okay, so I just was looking at some of our beer names, and we had a beer name called Polygenol Harvey Oxide.
What?
I don't know. Are any of you guys DJ Harvey fans?
Oh, PJ Harvey.
Polygenol Harvey Oxide.
Harvey Oxide.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So much going on there.
Harvey Oxide, yeah. It was an alt beer, by the way. And what about this one? The Higgs Boson Brews.
Ah,
Higgs Boson Blues.
Of course. Of course you had to do a Higgs Boson beer.
And my favorite is I love Pliny the Elder and all that, everything they're doing out there. So we had a Tiny the Junior. And the reason I named it Tiny the Junior is I wanted to get a cease and desist, which I was very upset that I never got.
He's been trying. I will attest to this. Tom has been trying for a cease and desist, excuse me, for the entire time I've ever been working there. We've been trying to get. So if there's any brewers out there that look at our menu and they go, "Hey, what the hell, man? Oh, it's Tom. It's cool." No, he wants you to send it.
Just go all
That's
out.
the problem.
Go all out and name a beer Wiser Bud.
Wiser Bud.
So here's one more that we did. It was called the Egotistical Giraffe.
What?
And it was actually a name of a spy, what is it, what's a spy agency? I don't know.
CIA?
NSA?
No, it's like
NSA,
NSA maybe.
FBI,
Was it NSA op? called
MI6.
The Egotistical Giraffe. That was one of our beers.
That is a good code name.
Yeah,
Egotistical
yeah.
giraffe. Also, I do feel like giraffes are just kind of smug in general. All of them.
Yeah.
They don't deserve it. They
Yeah.
haven't earned it. With them long ass necks.
Oh, yes. Dude, break your legs.
Anyway, that was our penultimate beer. Tom has given us some very, very interesting entries of interesting beer names from his past ventures, and I have made a note to continue that conversation in last call because I would like to talk about that more. But we do have one more beer to do in the game here, so this is, of course, the point in the game where we add up the scores to figure out who's going to guess first, second, third, fourth, and etc. And if I remember, how the whole goddamn thing works, which doesn't usually happen. So we have two people in the lead with 4 points each, Steph and Duffy. Very solid showings so far. Right behind them with 3 points is Dan, and unfortunately Tom is sitting at the bottom at the moment with only 2 points. So what we do at this point in the game is we take the people who are in the lead and we make them guess first so that the people who are behind can hear their answers and use that in their strategy going forward. Though I will say, Tom, there's absolutely no mathematical way that you could win the game at this point. I might give you a bonus point, though. Who knows? So we are going to start with Steph, go to Duffy, and then Dan, and end with Tom. Steph, Duffy, Dan, Tom. I hope I can remember that for the next 2 minutes. So, Steph, tell me, is this beer real? Is this beer real, or is it fake? Our final beer is called Tentative Plans.
I'm going to say real.
Steph is saying that is real. Duffy, what do you think?
I agreed, but only because I like the word tentative.
All right, fair. I appreciate that line of thinking. Dan, you are up next.
If I'm going to make any ground, I got to say fake.
All right, Dan is bucking the trend, going with fake. And finally, Tom, it doesn't matter because you can't win.
I'm on fake too.
Going fake. Well, we have 2 reals, we have 2 fakes, and the fakes have it.
Yes!
It is, in fact, fake. Tom and Dan, congratulations. And you know what? Tom, I'm giving you a bonus point just for being a super cool dude. So you are now tied with Dan.
All right.
Just putting that out there. But yeah, Tentative Plans is not a real beer, but I wanted to end on a sort of cautiously optimistic note because I and some others have recently been reacquainted with the concept of planning to do shit in the future, which is super cool. So cheers to that. Hopefully we can all start, planning vacations again. That would be nice. But I will mention there is a homebrew recipe called Tentative Plans. Now, it has been long established in libation or fabrication, home brews don't count. It has to be a commercial beer or it counts as fake. But this is a homebrew recipe that was posted by the user Elite Crisp on brewersfriend.com in September of last year. If you're wondering, it's an Imperial IPA with lactose and Cascade and Citra hops. So there you go. That's that beer. So we're going to add up the scores real quick here and see who our big winners are. And because of my incredible generosity, we have tonight a German Sparkle Party.
I like German Sparkle Party.
That's right. A 3-way tie for first place is what normal people call that, with 4 points each. Dan, Steph, and Duffy, wait a minute. That's right, have 4 points. Tom is in second place with 3 points.
Didn't you say at the end?
Gave him a bonus point, so we all have 4 points.
Yeah. You said Tom was tied with me, and if I'm tied with them, the transitive property would say that Tom is also tied with them.
It is an ultimate German Sparkle Party.
Oh, you're right. I did my math wrong.
Sparkle Party.
Had to play.
So it's a socialist Sparkle Party.
I'm telling you, man,
everybody's even.
You keep throwing that word around, and all I'm going to say
Bernie.
is I want universal health care. Stop using the word socialism if you can't give me universal health care.
Well, listen, I mean, given my math skills, I am just as competent as your average politician. So
that's accurate.
So yeah, everybody wins.
You need to
Everybody
work a
has 4
computer, which means you work wrong.
It doesn't matter. You're all winners. no matter what your score is. You all win. Thank you for playing.
Did we get a participation trophy? Is that what you're saying?
You all get a participation
All
trophy.
right.
But this is, of course,
I didn't get when I was going to send you a letter from my attorney.
a sternly worded letter.
A
We're
cease and
all getting
resist.
podcast trivia game medallions. This is the part of the podcast where we shout out to our most generous patrons on Patreon. We would like to thank you very sincerely for supporting us and allowing us to keep doing this. And if you support at a high enough level, we say your name on the podcast. Like these people. A new patron I would like to shout out, Ben Mengel. Thank you very much.
So a lot of vomit smells really nice.
That's a fun fact in case you didn't know that. Thank you, Ben Mengel, for signing up to be a patron. Ben, by the way, not just a new patron, but also a new patron at the level that allows his name to be read on the podcast. We have another new patron who has donated at a level that doesn't allow their name to be read on the podcast, but I will do it just this one time because I'd like to shout out new patrons. Matthew Helms.
Oh, shit, I have pineapple.
Thank you so much for becoming a patron, the two of you, and of course our other patrons that have been on the roll call for a long time, beginning with Chris Mahoney.
She's in a meme hole right now.
Dana.
You can't really stick your whole thumb in there.
Sean Sullivan.
No.
PA Brew Review.
Woohoo!
Topher Simmons.
9.
Jill Chivers.
What?
James Lamberg.
Dude, I love cheese.
Eric Dixon.
Yeah, that's a good 9 inches.
Jen McDonald.
I just shoved something in my Garrett.
Brian Mills. And the one and only that is no baloney, Joe Mansell.
I'm a rock solid 5, maybe 6.
If you want to find out how you can get on this list and get other cool behind the scenes perks, including access to Last Call, you go to patreon.com/beerbusters to learn more. If you're watching this video on YouTube right now, thank you very much for doing so. Please do the YouTube things, click like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It's all equally important in the eyes of the Lord. Please do it. Thank you. Amen. And now, Dan, what do?
Pray.
Pay our tax.
Say, Yvonne, remember when I said I'd have to send away to NASA to calculate your bar tab?
Oh, yeah. We all had a good laugh, Mo.
The results came back today. You owe me $70 billion.
If you have never seen me in person, or you've never seen a picture of me, one, you're welcome. I am jealous of you. I have glasses. And not only do I have glasses, I have recently been shopping for new glasses, and the whole process sucked. But then, Warby Parker came into play. Warby Parker is an awesome eyewear company that set out to upend the glasses market, and was founded with a rebellious spirit and a lofty objective to create boutique quality, classically crafted eyewear at a revolutionary price point. Their philosophy is that prescription eyewear shouldn't cost as much as an iPhone, as much as your rent. Their prescription glasses start at $95, including the lenses, and every pair of glasses includes anti-reflective and anti-glare coating and comes with a hard case and a cleaning cloth. They make buying glasses online easy and risk-free. There are a lot of other companies out there that are cheap to buy glasses online, but you don't get to try them on. Warby Parker, however, has a home try-on program that allows you to order 5 pairs of frames to be shipped directly to you so you can try them on in the comfort of your own home and get as honest feedback as you possibly can out of your friends and family. You keep them for 5 days and then you send them back. And if you like it, you can place an order, but then you have to give them your prescription. Well, they make it even easier for that. You can give them the prescription, or you can just give them the name and phone number of your eye doctor, and they'll call them and get it for you. You're not a middleman anymore. You're just somebody that says, hey, I need glasses, make it happen. When you order, most frames wind up at your door, completed with lenses within 10 business days. A lot get there sooner. Not only that, the coolest thing is you're paying it forward. For every pair of glasses sold, Warby Parker distributes a pair of glasses to someone in need. You're doing something good for somebody you don't even know. How rewarding is that? And yes, they do have prescription sunglasses too. To find out more and get your free home try-on, head on over to warbyparkertrial.com/beerbusters. 5 frames delivered to your door. You get to try them on at home, take pictures, get your friends to chime in. warbyparkertrial.com/beerbusters.
We do have one more beer to drink.
We do.
There's a lemon. Everybody loves the lemon. Buy your Nexus now. We only have a little bit of it left.
Oh.
So tell us about this lovely beer.
Yeah.
The Nexus or the lemon?
Both of them.
Tom, you talk about the lemon. I'll talk about the Nexus. This was Tom's brainchild. Uh-oh.
I had
All
a
right.
feeling that was going to happen.
I will talk about the Nexus, and then
Fair.
Tom will talk about the lemon. Nexus 4-grain IPA. So we used rye, we used wheat, oats, and barley. And we used mosaic hops for most of it. Mashed pretty hot. Left some sugar left over, so it had some body to it. But generally speaking, it's a straightforward IPA. Nice and effervescent carbonation. The lemon is a special beer. Again, Tom's recipe. Tom had initially the idea to make. Oh wait, are you back?
I don't know. I feel like that was a false start.
I can't tell if he's just not moving.
He just blinked.
Are you there, Tom?
I can see you guys, but none of you are moving.
I can hear you. I'm gonna sit really still.
Are you there?
Are you there, God? It's me.
Margaret.
Hello?
Margaret. I couldn't remember the name. Yeah, we can hear you, Tom. Can you hear us?
I hate this Zoom.
Uh-oh.
The Zoom.
I can hear you. Yeah.
The fucking Zoom. Fuck the Zoom.
Please keep that in.
I thought that was Tom for a second.
Oh my god.
Tom, tell us about the lemon.
Yeah, we want to hear about the lemon.
Lemon. I don't know. It's like it's a stupid beer for like the kids who like really hoppy, citrusy beers. Sorry if you drink that and really love it. I'm sorry to say that, but
You say, tell us how you really feel.
You should not be drinking this beer. You should find something good to drink.
You shouldn't like this beer.
I mean, I won't lie. I was kind of anxious to try it, and I was curious after you had it when you were on the panel with this. I mean,
when Stu watches this, he is gonna like stab you. Make sure there's nothing sharp around. He watches this.
Well, listen, it's no secret to anybody who pays attention to beer that breweries have been forced to produce beers that they don't particularly believe in, which is kind of a weird thing to say when it comes to beer because it's just fucking beer. Like, get over it. But we've talked to a lot of brewers that are like, I hate New England IPAs. I think they're the worst thing that's ever happened to beer. But I make 3 of them because that's what keeps the bills paid. Like,
Well, I got to tell you, man, it's interesting because you work for Tom and you are forced, which is great. I love it. I'm not forced. There's no pressure to make beers with literally 0 hops in them. Tom's specialty is gruit ales. They have no hops.
Right.
We make these beers with just herbs and spices. There's no, hops are an herb, but
but with other
talk about bucking the trend, and we don't make beers like that because we don't like making beers like that. We don't like drinking beers like that.
Yeah.
So you don't have to. You don't got to do it. And if we all stop, it'll be fine.
If we all stop, it'll be fine.
Nobody will miss them. Nobody will miss them. The next big craze could be beers with no hops in them.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, and it's not, but like people are also allowed to like what they want to like. Like, that's fine. And honestly, this isn't bad. It's probably my least favorite of the 3 we've had, but it's not a bad beer.
It's our bestseller. It sells 3 to 1, and it is. I will say it. I know Tom is not a huge IPA guy. I like it. I drink it. I have a keg of it on draft at my house, so it's fun. We put 2 pounds of lemon zest in it. In the original days when I first started working with Tom, my job was simply to peel lemons.
Actually, that was
a bizarre and strangely specific job.
He was really good at it too, peeling those lemons.
I mean, that was
bet.
going to be one of my questions with that. When you said 2 pounds, like how many lemons is that to get 2 pounds of it?
It's a lot. It's 2 cases.
Oh,
or a
God.
case. It was a case. Sorry. It's 2 pounds of like the actual frozen. We buy the zest now. There's a company that'll zest it, freeze it, and then they bring it out to us. Because we have to make it. I mean, I have to make it every 3 weeks. I don't have time to.
Yeah, that's crazy.
hand peel. I mean, I'm not kidding. I went behind the bar, got their Y peeler, and would peel a case of lemons while we were running off the brew. But it was worth it, and we didn't use we tried a couple other things, they didn't really work. But this company, I don't know who they are, but they're really close to us. And Tom, you want to shout them out? Who are they? You order it.
Who are these people?
I don't know. I loved when we had this thing called a rotato, which was a way to take the skin off a potato. We used that to take the zest off the lemons. Yeah,
interesting.
We still have it. I just hid it.
I loved when Duffy was doing that.
And now it's been outsourced. What's the world coming to?
It's always something.
Yeah.
Sometimes we made a beer called the Mojito one time. It was a wit beer, Belgian style wit beer with mint and juniper, right? Was it mint and juniper or mint and lime?
No, it's mojito has lime.
Yeah.
But I feel like also mint and juniper is a pretty cool combination, though.
I forget what it was, but anyway, the instructions I was given were put the mint in the bag and beat it on the bar. I'm reading the instructions like, what? So
Take out all your anger
I
on this mint.
I took the mint, I put it in the bag, and I just started slapping it on the bar. What do you know? One of our purveyors comes in the door while I'm doing it, and he's looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know how to explain this. Like, how do I tell this human being I've never met before what I'm doing? But I just, went about my day and kept just beating this bag of mint on the bar, and then ran into the brewery, weighted it down, and threw it in the kettle.
I'm just beating the shit out of some mint like you do.
It's always something interesting at Techne and at Earth. At Earth, it's even more interesting because I don't really know what's going to happen until it's literally happening in that moment.
So it's interesting.
Magic happens here.
It happens exactly where Tom is sitting.
I will tell you that I would
chair like this about 1,000 times, exactly where he's sitting right now.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
But I don't believe I've ever had a bad beer come out of that place. So
I will say, just by looking at the tanks in Tom's background, I would be more excited to try a beer that came out of that brewery than like a shiny, big stainless steel, like big product. I mean, I know it's meaningless either way, but I just like the sort of like the DIY aesthetic of that sort of like Franken system and like the copper back there. And
I wish you could see the cold box.
Yeah.
The tanks in the cold box look like they came out in the 1940s.
Thank you.
and it looks like there should be like a space alien inside of those. Are you going to do it? You're going to take them?
We're getting a tour now.
All right.
Oh, we got a COVID-19 sucks. Fair. on the fuse box.
Sucks with a Z.
With a Z, of course.
Well, if anyone out there would like to know any more about, Earth Bread and Brewery or Bar Hygge or Brewery Techne, which I guess are kind of like all in the same boat together, where should these curious individuals go?
Well, I mean, on the web, they can go to earthbreadbrewery, allpushtogether.com, or they can go to Bar Hygge, that's BARHYGGE.com. And from there, you can see all of the Brewery Techne beers. We're working on a website for Techne, but,
I would highly recommend checking out our Instagram page.
I just haven't got it up yet, so. Instagram? Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I run the Instagram page.
Or Facegram or Instabook.
half of the Insta internet is my dog, just for the record. But from there you can see, and Peggy's really good about updating that Earth Instagram. So
cool. And you guys do at Hygge, you got or Techne as well. Beer to go and like pickups. Are you guys still doing delivery? I know you were doing some deliveries.
Yeah, are they doing delivery still? I stopped. I was the guy delivering the beer for a while there, but
No, we're just doing pickup, I think now.
Just pickup now. I mean, that makes sense. Delivery's so hard to keep up.
Yeah, we do have a wine shop now at Hygge as well, where we have Julie, our one of our partners is kind of a sommelier. She's put together a list of 25 or 30 wines by the bottle that you can purchase, as well as 4 packs of Techne beer.
Cool. Now, are all those wines available for purchase? Are they all Pennsylvania wines? Does that apply as well? That you can only sell Pennsylvania wines in a brew pub? I don't remember what the law is.
No. Yeah, no, it's global wines.
Oh, so it's all over. Oh, cool.
We have a expanded wine license that allows us to do that.
yeah, Hygge's great. We can sell anything. We're not under the like the G license.
Oh, because the
restriction.
brewery's separate.
Right. So you have a brewery, you have a restaurant, and we have a full liquor license at Hygge. So, yeah. So I mean, that's why we're able to have such a robust cocktail collection as well. Like, I mean, brewers in Pennsylvania that don't have an R license can't sell tequila.
Right.
So, but like Tom said, Julie she's a master of wine knowledge, and she's got a really good. It's actually a problem for me because it's so close. I get the employee discount. I just keep buying bottles of wine. I bring them home. I'm like, why do I have this? I don't need more wine.
I don't even like wine, and I have 20 bottles.
Well, yeah, it's cool, man. It's neat too because she'll buy wine that I probably never would have seen in my life if I hadn't if she hadn't shown it to me. I don't really know anything about wine to begin with, but yeah.
I don't think I ever knew that there was a different liquor license that would include tequila.
Well, so for if you're in Pennsylvania, the way I understand it, and please, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the way I understand it is if you have a brewery license, you have the license to manufacture, brewed malt beverages, beer, and now cider, but you can't sell. You're able to sell the same type of product from people who manufacture it in Pennsylvania. But you can't make tequila like champagne. You can't make tequila in Pennsylvania.
Because it would have to technically be mezcal then, right?
Exactly. Well, I guess it would have to be mezcal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like sparkling wine.
Yeah, that makes sense then. That's I would not have put that together. Thank you.
The more you know.
That is true. Well, while
you can find Beer Busters on the internet, too.
Yes, while you were out there looking up Earth Bread and Brewery and Bar Hygge and Brewery Techne, if you still have any energy left and you feel like checking out Beer Busters, we are at Beer Busters, Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. We are Beer Busters Podcast. There's beerbusterspodcast.com. Don't forget to add /shop. Get some sweet swag. And youtube.com/beerbusterspodcast. Don't forget to add the podcast because you're going to get some dudes from halfway around the world who plagiarized, and that's not us. And, of course, patreon.com/beerbusters. As little as $1 a month can get you access to Last Call, which we are about to record. I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic time because this entire episode has been, and we're going to save some real treats for that, as we may or may not have already mentioned.
I have some notes.
I knew you had notes, and I'm glad because I thought about taking notes, and then you said you did, so I didn't have to. Thank you for letting me be lazy.
I will give you a piece of advice.
Please.
Never rely on the quality of my notes.
You figure I'd know that by now. But then again, your notes for this episode leading into it, spot on. You did good.
I couldn't even add up to 4 earlier this evening.
That did happen.
It happened. It's been recorded.
I almost did a spit take there. Good God.
Let's end this. I think
we should. There's a cat in the way of the soundboard and the mixer, so she's got to go. Sorry, Moo. Well, first off, we need to say, Tom and Duffy, thank you so much, guys, for being here. This is a lot of fun.
Yo, thank you for having us, man. This is amazing.
Of course.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's very long overdue, but I'm glad we could finally make it happen. And it was a wonderful time, and I'm looking forward to last call. But I think, unfortunately, this does bring us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters. And you listening to this right now, thank you. Couldn't do this without you. You keep everything going. Times are weird, and we love you for listening. Get some beer from Earthbrand Brewery and Brewery Techne, and go to Bar Hygge and enjoy the atmosphere that is there. As podcasts go, thank you again for listening. Feel free to leave a rating review on your podcast app of choice. You can get this wherever podcasts are podcasted. Thank you, as always. My name is Dan Baker. I am joined by my co-host and brewologist, and the demented and fermented,
Wayne Baker.
Remember, no squids were harmed in this episode, and we'll see you next time.
What you need to understand is that there are no levers, and what you are bending is yourself.